All right, everybody, welcome back. So, last time we took a look at how the encounter system worked and the easiest way of just putting a few encounters inside of our labyrinth. Next up, what we're going to do is that we're going to chain together these labyrinths. So, right now we have two labyrinths on the same map. I call that a linked labyrinth. Next up, we're going to go ahead and put the beginning of a labyrinth at the end of one of these labyrinths. Ooh, okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at what this is going to be. So swapping back over. Let's see what we got. So first off, I'm inside of my labyrinth depths, and I'm just going to go ahead and copy the first labyrinth. Minimize these just so it's a little bit easier to look at. And I'm going to now paste it and create a brand new labyrinth. I have to unique it up a little bit, so I'm going to call it C. Alright. And this is going to be an underground labyrinth. So what we're going to do is that we're going to make it a little bit different this time. So we're going to make the path width all the way down to a 1. We're going to say the map size. Let's not make it a full 120. Let's go ahead and go 80 by 80. And what we're going to do is that we're going to use the whole thing. For the world object name, we can still use the same world object. However, we could make a new one if we wanted to. Is linked, we're going to say false. Target biome actually doesn't matter. We're not going to use it. Steps away also doesn't matter. We're not going to use it. Is enclosed. Yes, true. So this time we're going to have this be underground. The idea is that you're going to find a staircase or some type of hole in the ground. You're going to go down there and you're going to have yet another labyrinth. So what we're going to say for this is filled, true is walled, true is roofed, true. For the shells, we'll say true as well. And what we're going to say is that this is going to be a cave-like. I want to show y'all what the cave-likes look like. Use block floors, false. Okay. Oh, excuse me. Okay, so as we go through, we have false for is walk-in. Instead, we're just going to go ahead and have it not walked in or walked out. Is outdoored, false. Oh. It's not walk in or walk out. Now for the settings. Now we are going to start using some of these settings. So we're going to turn on my my weather, and then we're also going to turn on RPG gloom. All right. So the idea with RPG gloom is that this is actually something that is inside of the core. Come over here, inside of the core. You'll see where we have our weather defs. And this is our RPG gloom. Basically just makes everything really dark and gloomy. And, but yeah, and this is where we're getting that from. Okay, the reason why I'm doing that is to make everything dark and gloomy like it's a cave. Alright, so do you want to freeze any of this? No, but we will use some modifiers. So, actually this one right here... Yeah, so say. So this right here is going to determine how much turn is between each tick. So we're going to leave it at 10 seconds a turn. Or how many ticks are in each turn, I should say. So food per turn. This right here kind of takes a little bit of tweaking depending on what your tick rate is. Obviously, if you just wanted them to get fuller and fuller and fuller, you could set it really high. The idea would be more or less just to slow down their natural one. So this, once again, this kind of depends on what your food rate is. So let's just go ahead and give it a 0.05. I'm pretty sure that's going to be a little bit too much. Outstanding. All right, so adventure thoughts, we're going to say true. Once again, this is still not very well developed. Adventure health, we're going to say true. This right here is actually in the works to being developed. So health regen per turn. Let's go ahead and do 0.05 for this one as well. The idea is that this is going to be the regen on the severity level. So for example, most severities would be like, so let's say you get hit with something with a scratch that has a severity of 5, then this means that it would take, you know, like 10 turns or so, or 100 turns actually. Let me actually turn that up a little bit. There we go. We'll see. Once again, we can always come back and adjust all this. So use party, we're going to say true. And party size, we're going to leave it at 5. So this is going to limit the number of people who can go down there. Use checkpoint true. I want to show you how that works. Use drafted true. All right. So down here, what we're going to do, so first off for the block def name, what we're going to do is that, let's just go ahead and I believe, hold on, let me see something real quick. So I remember if putting down rock, it required yeah, so it's just going to be slate. Okay. Alright, so yeah, so for this right here, I'm going to put as slate. This should spawn the walls as rocks. Might be wrong about that. Actually, let's make it sandstone. We'll see. For the floors, tile sandstone. Let's actually make this just sand. Leave that as that. So this right here, if we're using a mineral such as sandstone, this doesn't actually matter. We don't need this. Don't actually need that. Okay, so for the entrance name, this is something that we will need. This is going to be the building that indicates where the entrance is at. So let me see. Do we have anything? So for right now, what I might do, this is actually one of my, something that I usually end up doing. So I'm just going to throw down a glow pod right there. Yeah, so it's just glow pod. And just so you can see what it's doing. Technically, the entrance doesn't really do anything. It's just kind of a placeholder just to remind you where you guys can be pulled up from. All right. The exit does actually do something. And what we're going to do is that we're about to say true for use the exit. And we're about to go ahead and make an exit for this. And this exit is going to be a labyrinth key. Okay, encounters, we can go ahead and leave our melee pods in there. For linked labyrinths, we don't actually need this. For shapes, we're not going to give it a shape, so I'm just going to go ahead and wipe this out. And what this means is that it's going to take up the whole, actually, you know what? Let me go ahead and floss on a little bit. I'm going to say circle. And we're going to say that this was an 80 by 80, so let's start off at 0, 0, and we'll go 80, 80. There we go. So this should make the whole thing circular. Well, fantastic. Okay. So there we have it. We just set up another labyrinth. Now what we're going to do is we're going to jump over. Let me save this. We're going to jump over to our labyrinth keys. So remember before we made our keys, so right here we have our first key that we made. This right here was just kind of a concept that that was another way of opening the temple, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna kind of actually I am gonna hijack it. Screw it. So I'm gonna hijack this for my new key. And what we're going to do is basically, I can keep the name the same. Right, all this is fine. Right now I can still build it, in which case I might get rid of that. And what I'm going to do is instead I'm going to link it to Labyrinth C. Random queue, false. Target biome, we're going to say false. We are going to use the same tile, so we're going to say true. This is going to act as a portal, true. So basically this is going to be the entrance. We're not going to cycle through. The portal radius, we can leave it at 5. Alright, so now that we have it as a portal, we are going to have to fill out our buttons down here. So if you look inside of the core folder, so this is my core, and you can see that in textures, adventures, I provided a few icons, including a push in and a pull out. So I'm just going to use those again. So for pulling out, we're just going to say pull out. And for push in, we're going to do the same. Okay, so for the label is what's going to be at the bottom. So we're going to say pull out, push in. And here we're going to say, so this is just going to be the tooltip for it. I'm not going to go too crazy with it. And now, obviously, you could put more description there. All right, and once again, this is going to be the warning dialog that appears whenever you click to generate or to open the labyrinth. Okay. Another note, you also see that I gave this a self-healing property. All right, so this is this is actually a vanilla comp property, self-heal. And what's going to happen is that it's going to heal up faster than pretty much anything can damage it. So the idea here is that because this is the portal, if it dies, then your guys are pretty much stuck down there, right? So if this thing gets destroyed for any reason, then you have no way of getting back out. Sorry, right? You have to, I mean, maybe you can get creative. But but for the most part, though, we don't want this to be destroyed. So we're going to leave that as is. Let's go ahead and save this. Boom. And now we're going to go ahead and put it at the end. So we're going to copy the def name, go back to the labyrinth defs. All right, so over here. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. This is the end. So no, okay. So over here, we are not going to use the exit. False. This is going to be the end of the line. But instead, we are going to change our first labyrinth to use an exit. Actually, let's do it in labyrinth B since it's not doing a lot. So this is labyrinth B. This is the one that's not filled in, the one on the right-hand side that's getting no love. And what we're going to do is that we're going to go down and we're going to tell it to use an exit. True. And what exit? We're going to give it the key. So now this means that it should spawn this key at the end of this labyrinth. Okay. All right, a whole lot of assumptions right there. So let's go ahead and see if it worked. Go ahead, jump back over. And we're going to restart. Alright, hopefully this works out the first time. I can't help but feel like I'm forgetting to do something. I think this will be alright. Alright, let's go ahead and check it out. Alright, let's see what we got. So, go ahead and take this out. Boom. Alright, and you can see that now, interesting little layout. Now at the end, or rather at the deepest part of this instance, because technically this right here is a loop, right? It didn't really count into that. Over here, as much as I try avoiding it, it's usually hard to keep this from happening. I'm going to have to come up with something a little bit more creative. But basically, it looks like our entrance got covered by rock. Unfortunate. But as you can see, this one does not have a an exit key. So here's our exit key. And you can see that it is exactly that. And now we have the option to open the labyrinth. So we get the warning. Oh, no errors. Very nice. And you can see that we now have a new labyrinth open. Oh, very nice. Okay, so this one came out quite nice. As you can see, this is very different from the labyrinths up above. This is obviously the result of the cave-like setting. As you can see, this is very much cave-like. Likewise, you can also see the circular pattern on the whole thing. You see how it kind of cut off those corners there, giving us a nice little nesty feel. As far as encounters goes, because I only have one counter and because he's set to encounter of 50, I only have one encounter, I'm sorry, of 30. I only have one encounter set in here. But yeah, as you can see, it made a nice little maze actually. So let's see, going through it. Oh yeah, it's a really good use of map space. So the idea is that there's different variations of the algorithm that can make it into more branchy. This right here is kind of making it a long instance. Yeah, as you can see, it's kind of like spaghetti. It's all curled up on top of itself, but it has a really good use of space on the map. Right, it really makes you use every inch of it. All right, well that was nice and painless. So from here, what's left? Well, first off, you can add in your own spice and your own flavors. You can put in your own spawners, your own enemies. Up top, you can put in however many labyrinths linked together as you want. Likewise, I could have also gotten creative with the shapes. So this is just two rectangles that are right next to each other. I had one before, I'm going to have to see if I have a picture of it, where basically the outside was a large circular labyrinth with a hollow circle, like it was hollow, so it was kind of a toroid going all around the outside, with another labyrinth on the inside, right? So that's just the that's just an example of what you can do with the linked. And then with these chained labyrinths, as you can see, I put this here, so now I can go down to it. And likewise, actually, let me just go ahead and show y'all. I know this video is kind of going on a little bit longer, but if I come back over here and I go to my new labyrinth, labyrinth C, and what I'm going to do is that I am going to say, where are we at? Use exit. I'm going to say true. And the exit def name, I am going to put the labyrinth key again right here. And what this will do, or at least what this should do, is that this is now going to cause yet another key to spawn at the end of my labyrinth that I just made. So therefore, there will be yet another labyrinth at the end of that labyrinth. Amazing. Let's go ahead and take a look. So we say, over here. Okay. I guess I also have to show you where it spawned too. All right. So here we are. We have our two temples or templates. Temple templates. All right. So that one right there is looking good. So over here, you can see that we have our furthest point with our key again. I'm going to open that up. And now down here, you can see that our furthest point has yet another key on it. And I can open that up. And now you can see we have another one underneath it. Okay, so yeah, so you can keep crawling through with different labyrinths. Alright, another good use of space. Okay, fantastic. Oh, and also another thing to check out, you see how down here, because I put this as as sandstone, you can see that these walls are going to be natural rock. Over here, boom. Fantastic, giving it a nice cave-like feel. Okay, so like I said, so pretty much from here, everything else is going to be more of the same. It's going to be making more rooms to spice up the inside of here. It's going to be making more encounters to spice up the action inside the instance. And it's going to be making loot and stuff along the way. So I might do one more video where I go through and I do a few more rooms and make some actual loot spawners for y'all. But for the most part, though, you can pretty much get started from here. Oh, and then I might also show you how to do a mini boss as well. So let me go ahead and end this video, and I will see you next time.